Bridget Bartlett here with My Vision Agency, and today is part 2 of our web design series. We actually built a website using Manus, and yesterday I showed you how to go ahead and rebuild this website. You can see that this is as far as we've gotten. We've built the skeleton of the website. Now we need to do some fine-tuning, and we also need to update the mobile view. So that's what I want to show you how to do today, and hopefully show you some tips and tricks that will make this process much faster. So let's go into the dashboard now. I'm going into the funnel. Let's click here to open the editor. And of course, the first thing that we need to do is adjust our global header. So what I'm going to do is stretch this out a little bit. We'll add some space in here. And of course, we need some space at the top and bottom because it looks really tall. But I think it's important. Sometimes in these tutorial videos, a lot of times we are so comfortable with the information that we just speed through the process. And I really don't want to do that with you guys. I really want to explain every step of the way, because I know I've gotten feedback before where someone says, "Oh my gosh, you just said something so simple and it just totally changed how I build websites. I didn't even know that was an option." I'm going to save that because it's global. I'm trying to create more room here in the header because I want to add that button. And so I'm moving these things around to get the look that I'm going for here. We could also shrink down some of the text. Okay, so I still need this text a little smaller. So instead of 20, let's make it 18. I'm actually just going to copy this 18 so I don't have to type that out every time. And let's go back to this box here. It wants to keep updating because it's a global section. All right, let's click here and make this 18. And let's just save that. I'll make this one 18. And this one will be 18. And this one is still a little bit small, but we might be able to work with that. I actually really do like the idea of a logo here instead, but I actually want to make this kind of universal. What I can also do is shrink down the padding on each of the sides here. So instead of 20, let's do 10. All right, let's save that. Do 10 here and 10 here. And that'll give us more space inside the button, because remember from yesterday's training, these are actually buttons because we want them to scroll to a specific section in our website. Oops, there we go. So we made them buttons because the navigation menu does not allow you to scroll to different elements. All right, now let's see if we can shrink this down a little bit, and we'll shrink this down. I just want to make room for that button for the join our free community so that it isn't so, there we go. I wanted it to be on one line here. Now I do want to say join for free instead of join free community because I want to not take up so much space, to be quite honest. I want this to be the same size text as the other, and you can see this one is 15 and these are 18. So I want this to be 18, but I don't want it to be off the edge there because it's so big. And I also want to make the background of this button orange. Keeps wanting me to save. All right, now if we look at our original template here, you can see this is what we're trying to create. Okay, now this is actually white, and the reason that I turned it purple is just so that I could tell the difference between the two headers here. So what I want to do in my template is I want to shrink this down now, okay? And I also want to make this white, which means I need to make these a different color. So let's click here. Let's make this white. I'm sure you guys are like, why does she do all these things backwards? And honestly, this is just all I can tell you. Every designer does things different. I don't consider myself a designer in the first place, but I have been designing my own websites for more than 10 years. And so when, just like anything that you do a lot, you have a process. And this is just what I've learned throughout the years as being the easiest way. So I'm sure that people who have more experience designing and this is what they do, maybe they have better processes, but this is my process, and hopefully I share something with you that will make your process faster. All right, now we want this white text to be this color. All right, now you'll see that we have too much space at the top and bottom because if we look at our template here, you'll see it's pretty skinny up there. So let's go back here and we need to reduce the space around the top and bottom. But sometimes that's really hard to get to once you reduce the space here in the blue column. So what I want to do is reduce the space here first. And I'm just going to make this 0. I don't want any space at all here. And then now I want to do the same thing for this section. Okay, I want 0 space. I want that section up there to be as skinny as possible. All right, so far we look good, but we do need to adjust this button because remember on our other buttons, we had a border and it was also a radius of 10. So we do want to try to be as consistent as possible, like with our text sizes and how we round off the buttons and things like that. All right, now there is a lot of space up here and you can see in our template, that there isn't so much space. So what I want to do is I want to click in the button and then I want to go adjust the padding within the button. Remember, padding is the space inside the element and margin is the space around the element. Now I don't want it to be 0 here, but I do 5 because it adds some space, but it makes it slimmer here. So you see we're getting more this type of a look here. All right, so we have some space and then we have these, which are anchor texts. All right, let's go back. Sorry for all the bouncing around here. All right, so let's see. We want to scooch this over just a little bit here because we do want some space now that we've created it. We want some space between the business name or logo and the original features here. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and save this because we've done a lot of work, even though it does automatically save for us. And what I want to do is I want to make sure that this header is sticky, so it sticks to the top when we scroll. And you'll see when we click in the buttons that we made these scroll to an element, but we need to choose the element that it's going to scroll to. So if we look at our template here, you'll see the features, it scrolls to this part here where it says double your speed to lead. So I'm going to go back here now and you'll see in the features, let's scroll down to where we see double your speed to lead. That's this section here. So I'm going to call this features. And I'm going to scroll up here to the features button. And then I'm going to scroll down here to where it says scroll to the element. And now I want to look for that element that is called features. There we go. So you see when we scroll to it, it actually goes right to the element there. So we've set that. Now I'm going to save that and we'll save again because it's global. And you can see when we click on community that it goes to this section here. So let's go back and let's click in this section and let's call this community. And let's go up to our community button and scroll down. And then now let's scroll to community. There we go. And save. And then the AI tools, let's go back to our template here. Let's click on AI tools, and then it takes us to this section here. So let's go to that section, which is this one here, AI tools. And let's scroll up now, and we're going to click on this button. And let's go to the one that says AI tools. Here we go. And let's save and save. And then we have the FAQ section. So let's scroll all the way down to the FAQ. And that is this section here. So I'm just going to call it FAQ. And let's scroll back up to the menu. Scroll down to set the element. Here we go. And save, and save. And then we have the login button. Now, this isn't going to be a scroll to an element. This is actually going to be the website URL because you're going to put the link that they're logging into there in this box. Now, you also have join for free. So where on this page can they join for free? If we go back to our template here and we click join free community, it goes to this area here. So let's use that as the template. We'll click here to join for free, and we'll scroll to the free community. And we've already named it that, so we don't need to worry about naming it again. So we'll click here and save. All right, so now we have set up our sticky header here. Let's look at that and make sure that everything is looking good. Okay, so you'll see that it does stay to the top like we chose. Let's click on features and make sure it goes to the right area. Cool. And community and AI tools and FAQ. And then of course the login is a link, but let's check this. It goes to the right area. So we are good. Okay. Now, of course, I do want to show you here how you can add some space, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because we did talk a lot about the design yesterday. And of course, what you want to do is go through and copy and paste and make sure that you've taken all the copy from the website that we created. And then you're really just making this your own, right? So I want to change this to join our free community. And we could make this a pop-up, or we could send them down to this area here. But we do need to have a form on here where they can actually join the community. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the call to action for this button a pop-up. And then we are going to add, actually, let's add some space down here as well. Okay. And then when you set this to a pop-up, what you can do is click here, and then we can build our pop-up and add a form and all of that. And we'll talk about this next week when we continue this series and we talk about all of the automations that we can build into this landing page as well. So I'm just going to leave that as pop-up, and let's go to the mobile view. Now you can see up here, My Vision Agency, it looks good aligned to the left when it's on the desktop view, but it doesn't look good aligned to the left here. So what I want to do is I want to click in the box, and I actually want to center this. Now you can see up here that it's aligned here, the center, on the mobile view. But if I go back to the desktop, you'll see it's not centered. It's still aligned to the left. And that's because everything that we are changing here, as long as we see the mobile option selected here, it's going to be only for the mobile view. So what I want to do is reduce a lot of the space here because that's just way too much space. So I'm going to click here in the box and let's go down. You'll see that it already has a 0 margin. So what I want to do is click in the purple area, and then I want to start reducing that margin as well. And I don't really want to have a 0, but 5 is really as close as I get here. And I don't care about reducing the space at the top. I actually like a little bit of space there. I'm going to click here in the purple area. Let's make this 5. The reason I say 5 is just because if you make it less than 5, sometimes it'll even cut off the letters a little bit, and it just doesn't look good. Again, my personal opinion. All right, so that's the purple area we're reducing the space, and now we're inside the button, and I want to reduce the space there as well. So let's make this 5, and let's make this 5. And then we're going to click in the purple box here. Let's make this 5, and we'll make this 5. All right. I'm going to say don't show this again. Save. Let's add the space now inside the box. 5. And what we want to do is just continue down through here and do all of these 5. And you'll see that it's already looking so much better in reducing the space. All right, so now we have all of this. We've reduced the size dramatically. We can scroll down here. This actually looks pretty good. Maybe we do want to add some more space here. And instead of 10, let's try 20. All right, so that looks good. We like this button. However, I do think even on this version here, we should go ahead and edit the button and make sure to put that round border that we've been putting on all the buttons. We want it to be transparent, and remember we're using 10, so we want to make sure that is consistent with our brand. I like to edit on the desktop just to make sure that both options are edited. So you can see we did edit that, and now it's edited here as well. So we have our text, all of that spacing looks good. We have the image here, and now we have the headline, we have the text. Now you can see these boxes. We really need some space between the boxes because it's too cluttered here. It looks too crowded. So what we want to do is click in the purple section, which is the column, and let's click here to add some space. So I'm going to add 20, and you can see now we have that space there, and it is on the mobile version only. So when we go to the desktop, you don't see that's misaligned, right? We only adjusted the mobile. All right, so I'm going to add 20 here as well, and let's click in the purple box, and we're going to add 20. And that looks good there. Don't really need to do anything with the button. That looks good. All of this looks good. But you'll see when we get down here to the section where we rotated, you can see now it's like we have this speed, we have the headline, we have the text, the button, and then the image, and then this is swapped, okay? But it doesn't really look consistent because see how we have the two images? So we need to duplicate the one section that is different. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Now these two, they're fine. But if we want to switch the mobile view, what we need to do is take this section, for example, and I'm going to duplicate this. Now, when I duplicate that, I'm also going to switch these sides here. So I'm going to click in the purple box, and I'm going to click the up button, or let's click the down button. And then now you'll see these sides have switched. Now, what I want to do with this that I just duplicated and recreated, essentially, I want to click in the box, and then I want to go to Advanced, and I want to hide this on the desktop view. So I'm going to click there. So now it no longer shows on the desktop, but it is still showing on the mobile view. Now, just to eliminate my confusion, what I want to do is I want to go back up here to the one that we just duplicated, and I want to make sure that this is hidden on mobile view and only showing on desktop. So now when I go back to the desktop view and I scroll through that section, you'll see we have the image on top and then the text down here. And then now we have the image on top and the text down here. So you see how that looks so much cleaner. And then again, we have this section here. Okay, so we need to definitely fix that. So let's go back up here. And we've already duplicated that section. So let's go down to this one here. And we're going to duplicate that. Before we do, and again, I'm just being totally transparent with you guys, it's a little bit confusing to me. I'm trying to figure out which column we need to duplicate. So before I go do that, what I want to do is I want to add this copy. Now, I wasn't going to spend all this time copying and pasting with you guys because I'm sure you understand how to copy and paste. We went through this together yesterday, but I need the titles here so that I can tell which section I'm actually working on. Full transparency on that. And I'm just going to copy this now. And let's go back. And let's add this title. All right, so now I can see which ones I've actually duplicated here. So we have double speed to lead, instantly filling your calendar, drive more phone calls, build smart nurture campaigns. So if we go now back here, double your lead to speed, instantly fill your calendar, drive more phone calls, and build nurture. Okay. So what we need to do now, since let's go back here again. We have the first section, double your speed to lead, instantly fill your calendar, but now we need the drive more phone calls. We need that section to be updated. So let's go back here now, drive more phone calls, and I'm going to duplicate this now, and I'm going to do the down arrow to swap the sections. And this one is going to be mobile view, so I'm going to go to advanced, and I'm going to hide it on desktop. And then I'm going to click here on the original panel, and then I want to hide that on mobile view. So now when I go back to my mobile view and we scroll through here, you'll see image on top for speed to lead, image on top, instantly fill your calendar, and then we have image on top, drive more phone calls, and then we have the image on top here. Okay, so we have just fixed this whole section here so that it looks so much better on mobile view than it did before. Let's go ahead and save. All right, now as we scroll through here, again, we're at this section here where we need more space between these boxes. So I'm going to add 20 here. And remember, we do try to be consistent. So if we add 20 in another place, we want to add 20 there too. So I'm going to click 20. But you'll see down here, we actually don't need to add too much space because we already have the break where the two sections are. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave that space there. Now we do want to click in the purple box here and we're going to add 20. And again, we're going to add 20. And that looks good there. We don't need to do anything with the button. Okay, so we have a section here. We have the text on top and the image on bottom. Okay, these all look good. And we have our frequently asked questions. And we might want to add some space at the bottom here. So I'm going to go to the margin and let's add 10. Actually, that's not what I wanted. I wanted at the bottom. So we're going to add 10 at the bottom. Now we have a little bit of space between this element and that button there. All right, so now we're at the footer, and you'll see that there are two sections here, and that looked good on the desktop view. Just to remind you, we wanted to add those two columns because we really want the design aesthetic. But when you go down to the mobile view at the footer, it looks weird because we have these two big blocks here. What we want to do is not delete them because we need them on the desktop view, but we're going to hide them on the mobile view. So I'm going to go to advanced, and I just want to click here to hide. You can see that looks so much better already. So I'm going to hide that section. And then now we have our footer that looks really good here. Now I'm going to go back to the desktop view and let's go ahead and save. Now you can see on the template that when you hover over the buttons, it actually changes to a different color. So let's go back to our template here and let's go to the button options and let's go to animation. And we do have these animations that we can use here. Let's click hover animation. We have where it will elevate or it will wobble. So if we click here, you'll see that the button will raise there. And you can see when we choose wobble what it looks like. Okay, so we do want to hover animation, but we want the ability to change the color, and we just don't have that option here. So what I want to do is I want to actually go back to Manus, and I do have a chat going for CSS that I was working on, building CSS for the HighLevel builder, and I'm actually just going to continue that chat. Now, if you missed the training on this, I'll put the link in the description so that you can watch how I built this chat from scratch. But since I already have it, I think it's really important to note that you don't have to recreate this. You can just use the same chat because we've already trained it on everything that we need here. So let's go back now to the template and let's take a picture. And I am going to screenshot this and I want to share it with Manus. And I want to tell it exactly what I'm trying to build. So I'm going to paste the screenshot here and I'm going to say I need, all right, now I just said purple there, but I really need my exact hex code. So what I'm going to do is go into Canva, my best friend, and let's click here. I'm going to grab this hex code and let's go back to Manus and I'm going to paste that in there. And let's go ahead and click enter and let's see what it says. I'm actually going to share this with it as well. This is the example site with the button effect. I'll help you create CSS code to change the button color to purple on hover. Let me check the example site first to understand the button effect you're looking for. Hey guys, I'm doing this in real time with you. I did not premeditate this in any way. I've shown you this entire process, and I really hope that to some of you it may seem daunting, but I feel like to some of you, you're really getting a lot of value out of this because not a lot of people do this complete step-by-step training showing the entire process of building a funnel or a landing page. So if you like training like this, go ahead and comment and let me know I like it. And that way I know that I can create more training like this in the future. Okay, so now it's generated the code for us. So let's see. Here is the code to change your button to purple when hovering over them. To implement this in your HighLevel page, go to the HighLevel editor, add the custom HTML JavaScript element, paste the code above into the editor, and then save and publish your changes. I've attached a screenshot showing how the buttons look when hovered over. They change from orange to purple as requested. The CSS includes a smooth transition, a subtle box shadow for better visual appeal, multiple selector variations to ensure it works with different button implementations, important flags to override existing styles. This code will work with Join Our Free Community Today button in your screenshot, as well as any other buttons on your page. Let's look here, and we have the instructions. Okay, cool. But where do we put it? So it says to add it to the HTML editor. Let's just do that, exactly what it says. It says here the CSS code, and it tells you go to the HighLevel editor, add a custom HTML JavaScript element. So let's do exactly what it says, even though that's probably not going to work. But let's go here and let's go to add a row here, and let's click to add the code element and click here and paste it all in. Now let's preview the custom codes, and we're not seeing anything, but let's preview the live view and let's see. All right, so look, it is actually hovering over that. The problem is, though, is that it's expanding the whole section, and we don't want that. So what I want to do is I want to create a little snippet, and I want to put a delay on here, delay 3 seconds, and then I'm going to click New, and then I'm going to hover over that. And it takes 3 seconds for the snippet to work. So what I'm going to do is show this. And let's go back to Manus. It works, but it expands the entire element for the buttons like this. Now let's see what it says. I see the issue. The button is expanding when hovered over. Let me fix the CSS to maintain the button's original size while only changing the cover on hover. I am curious though, and let's just test this out with you guys. I'm going to take this. I'm going to take this whole code. Since this is for the entire page, I'm going to copy this and I want to delete this section. And let's go up here where it says custom CSS and let's paste it in there and save. And let's save here. And then let's preview the page. And you can see it's still hovering over that. So we don't need to add the section. We can actually just put it up there. So Manus just didn't realize that. I can actually go back and tell Manus for this type of a CSS, we can actually use the settings up there. And then in the future, it will remember that. What I want to do is I want to tell it that we're putting the code here, just so that we are communicating properly and that Manus knows exactly what we're working with. Here's where I'm pasting it. Okay, it says I see the issue now. You're pasting the code in the CSS editor in HighLevel, which requires a different format than the HTML JavaScript editor that we used before. Let me provide you with a clean CSS version. This is why it's so important to communicate effectively with your AI so that it knows exactly what you're doing. So I am going to copy all this now, and let's paste it in there and save again. And let's refresh a couple times. All right, and let's try. Oh, it is wanting to do a hover, but it's not exactly doing what we want it to do. We want the whole thing to turn purple. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my snippet tool and I'm going to switch this to video. And I'm going to record the video and I'm going to show it what's happening. And start. I don't want to access the microphone because I want to keep recording with you guys. So I just want to show here what's happening. So now I'm going to stop and I'm going to copy this, take it back to Manus and paste it in here. Save. Thank you for sharing the video. I see the issue now. The CSS is being applied, but it's not working correctly with the specific button implementation with HighLevel. Let me create a more targeted CSS. So let's go back now. Click in the CSS and let's change all of this. Save, save, and let's refresh a couple times. All right. Oh, it's working now. All right, good deal. So we got our CSS created for our website. So now what we can do is we want to go over to the SEO data here. And you can see with the content, we want to name our page. This is what's going to show up in Google. This is also going to show up when you share your page on social media. So we want to make this kind of a catchy headline, and we can say, join today for free. Join our free community to learn how to automate your business processes with AI. And we could add keywords here. We could add an author. We could add the social image. That's what's going to show when you share. So let's click here. I'll just add a share image I already have. And you can add links to tags. You can add the language here and then update the SEO. Those are just the really important parts that you need to make sure are updated. So we've rebuilt the website with the exception of copying and pasting the text there. We have also adjusted the mobile view and we have added some CSS to get the result that we're looking for with the button hover effect. If you have any questions, feel free to go to our community, go to the events calendar, and you can click here to join us in open office hours. That is for our resellers and our free community members. If you're not a member of our reseller program or our free community, you can go to myvisionagency.com. You can sign up here to join the free community. You can also sign up here to get a free membership in our reseller program if you use my affiliate link to create a HighLevel account. If you're already a HighLevel customer and you want to join directly, you can choose this option here. You can also check out the software bundle, the free community, the blog, or the template shop that we have available here. You can also book a private consultation with me there. You can check out our frequently asked questions, or you can send me a message there that is actually going to me. I don't use AI for this here. I respond to those personally. Thank you.